It's so ridiculous. You can knock it over with a feather or take it up with a breeze. I wanted to borrow from Charles Dickens. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But the simple fact is that this isn't the worst of times. Just the worst of times for the stocks in certain industries and the best of times for others. All within the confines of some hideous action for the average, with Dow sinking 626 points, S&P plunging 2.12%, and the NASDAQ plummeting 3.26%. This nasty old day right into the close. Now, what makes this market so ridiculous, in my eyes? Look, we had some obscure purchasing manager report that shows some stall this morning, causing a wholesale collapse of the cyclicals, along with the home builders and anything connected to technology, particularly the once beloved data center plays with big AI exposure. Given the chaos after that manufacturing PMI number, you think the semiconductor, oil, and housing worlds were in free fall. But in reality, these companies are doing incredibly well. The sellers are just worried that they won't stay good for long. Frankly, I think this action represents pure stupidity. And the fact that the market is typically challenged in September, that's what's going on to me. Something that's true empirically. Well, to the point where it can become self-fulfilling. That's the way it felt like for me today. Sure, the economy's slowing, but in a few weeks, the Fed's going to cut interest rates. And you wish you'd stuck with a lot of what was for sale today, like the home builders. I like D.R. Horton and Lennar, both of which reported amazing quarters. They're the real winners in any move that would take down mortgage rates. That's what would happen if the Fed cut.
You did interview Elizabeth Warren about unrealized tax gains, and that has caused a lot of consternation on all sides.
Well, this is one of the worst tax ideas that's floating around. And it's one of the worst tax ideas, not in the abstract, not in the academic halls, but, you know, in America where we have had a different dynamism. The ability, the flywheel of capital and talent and technology going on, that is driven by our tax system, by the willingness of Americans to take after-tax dollars and invest them in risky ventures that may not pay off for years.
Okay, so I happen, as you know,
there's more.
We don't disagree about this issue as it relates to unrealized tax gains.
Do people think there's like a technology fairy?
No, but my question to you then is, assuming we're not going to do that, and by the way, one of the reasons that that's even put forth is a view that if you don't put something on the table that's taxing those gains annually like this, and if you were to put something out there that said, you know, you can capture the gains later, that potentially a different party, a Republican Party or something else would get into power later, undo whatever the policies were to capture the gains properly in the future, and therefore you'd actually never capture any taxes. My question to you is, how do you feel, for example, about and Bill Ackman?
That's such an ivory tower.
Well, but there's a practical reality to it, which is we haven't dealt with those folks who take loans, as you know, against their unrealized gains and effectively have those gains. Should that be taxed, for example?
You know what, Andrew? Something like that, where someone says, "Okay, I'm going to take a loan against and I'm bringing forward my realization of those gains." I'm very happy to look at that. That's a very narrow issue. I mean, okay. So I'm very happy to look. Like, that's a discussion that.
How would you feel about dealing with step up at death? If you all of these things have a huge implication on the system, which is to say, if you dealt with step up at death, right? If you dealt with this loan issue, you take the incentive away for those things to happen, and therefore those things would get taxed in a way that are somewhat considered proper. If you dealt with carried interest, I'm saying there's low-hanging fruit here.
Okay, but we're talking carried interest. We're talking about something that scores at $40 billion over 10 years or something.
And therefore, you wouldn't do it?
No, I'm just saying those discussions I'm happy to have. This idea that we're going to take this fundamental American and uniquely American system, the one that has lifted the entire world out of the COVID malaise because of technology, because of our investments in energy, we're pumping 40% more gas than we did when Trump took office. We're pumping a third more oil. You know why? Because we invest in the technology to make that happen.
But here's the issue. The reason why that proposal, this unrealized gain proposal, has any oxygen at all, I would argue to you, and as you know, I don't subscribe to that policy, but the reason it has any oxygen is because the Republican Party has not provided any oxygen to the low-hanging fruit issues. the step up at basis, at death, the issues around taking those loans, the issues around carried interest. If those things were taken off the table, we wouldn't even be having these conversations.
I don't believe that for a second.
No,
this is all about pandering to the idea that the wealthy don't pay their fair share.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, make sure you go to TikTok, like and follow. And we have Jim Cramer on the pullback. Remember last month it was August 5th. Today, September 3rd. So we've been dumping early in the month. And guys, if you look at manufacturing numbers, manufacturing has been in a recession for 2 years. Yes, you heard that correct. You can't make this stuff up. And we know the rest of the economy is just going to get worse because the legacy market is going to be destroyed and the fourth industrial revolution is going to rise. And speaking of the fourth industrial revolution, taxes on unrealized gains. And we have Jay Clayton. But what Jay Clayton leaves out is that we're going into the fourth industrial revolution. And a lot of people are going to want to hold on to valuable assets and keep getting those gains. Also, get loans without touching the actual asset. Just using the asset as collateral. Remember, we're being moved over to a tokenized economy. And don't forget, these small and medium-sized banks, the issues that they have been swept under the curtain. And Jay Clayton, don't forget, he was in the FDIC meeting about these small and medium-sized banks consolidating or going away. Remember, it's been a 10-year plan. So Jay Clayton definitely knows the mission. And then, guys, we have Elon Musk tell the people to use a VPN. Now, I dare you to tell anyone overseas, especially the boogeymen, that they can use a VPN in the United States and use a website, anything they have no business using. Believe me, you'll be in prison. And that's how you know Elon Musk is nothing but a puppet. If anyone overseas told someone that to use it inside the United States, so therefore they could use something or make money, believe me, they'll be in prison tomorrow. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Brazil's Supreme Court upholding a ban on social media platform X. It had shut down access for some 20 million users. And joining us right now with the latest on this story, Tim Higgins, the Wall Street Journal business columnist, also a CNBC contributor. He's been following Elon Musk for years. And this, of course, raising a lot of ire and eyeballs over the weekend, or maybe lack of eyeballs, given the cutoff. But what is the latest? Where do things stand? And what does it mean not just for X, but also for Starlink and SpaceX?
Yeah, well, the decision was upheld yesterday. So at this point, you can't look at X in Brazil unless you're using a VPN, which Elon Musk has been encouraging people to do. That allows you to circumnavigate the ways that they're blocking it down there. And so it's kind of a standoff at this point. Elon spent the weekend really throwing a lot of tweets at the situation, which probably doesn't help him in the courts down there. But he's kind of made his bet at this point.
From your vantage point, having reported this story out and looked at some of the legal issues in Brazil, who is in the right? And the reason I ask this is there's been criticism of Elon before where people said, look, if Turkey tells him to shut something down, he shuts it down. If China tells him to shut something down, maybe he shuts it down. I don't know. In this case, he's fighting it. Now, my understanding is he's fighting it because he believes the law is on his side. Is it?
Yeah, that's you hit on this interesting thing. I call it the Musk doctrine. And in places where there are strong men, strong leaders, where he has incredible business opportunities, such as China, he seems to be more deferential to that leadership. Brazil is a unique case here. His businesses, SpaceX, the Starlink satellite system that he has been finding success in the rural parts of Brazil. And so he has some future potential business growth in that market, but he seems to be taking a principled stand. He's making the argument that X will follow the laws of the lands where it operates. So places like China, it's not going to do what it does in the U.S., for example. But Brazil, he says, The government there is essentially breaking its own laws by asking X to silence political speech. And that's kind of the case he's making. It hasn't gone far. It's another market. I'm no legal expert there, but that's kind of where we're at. Is he's essentially making the case that he is being asked to break the law, and he doesn't want to do that in Brazil.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.